Thank you very much, and I want to thank all of you for coming today. This is something a little different than what we've done on our recruiting signing dates in the past, where we've been in the press box. A lot of alumni, a lot of outsiders. We're meeting with them, but we decided to bring our recruiting class, our new freshman class, our transfers, our new students in to meet other students here. These are the players, the newcomers, the players that you haven't seen yet that we think that's going to make our program even more exciting as we try to take it to another level. Just like in a student body at a university like this, that young freshman class, the newcomers add excitement, add a little difference, a little new flair, a little new style. We've got some guys that we think can enhance the overall quality of our student body, of our student athletes. And so we're going to give you a little glimpse of that today. I think the thing that you're going to see here that you might not see in the paper, or what a lot of schools might not try to show you, not only will we have 12 or 13 new high school freshmen from around the country, but we've got about the same number of athletes that came last year as transfers or came late and they could not play. They had to sit out. They weren't eligible. And so they practiced every day. And they worked hard every day, but you couldn't see them on Saturdays. Now they, like these freshmen, will be newcomers. They'll be part of these new young men that will help us build our football program. So we're going to do two videos. We're going to do one that shows you some of the brand new fellas that many of them are still in high school, finishing up, as well as some of these new guys that have been out there with our practices, been out there working hard, but not allowed to play in the games till they go through their transfer regulations. And we think both of these together make this the most exciting recruiting class that we've had. It's just like so many ways we try to take our university to a no level by the things that you personally bring to the table, the dynamics of your personality, of what you add to your classroom, what you add to the student body. We think these young men, 25, 26 newcomers in a team of about 100, will give us an increased excitement and increased abilities. So without further talking about it, let's just show you all a little bit about what we're going to show you. Then think about what you might want to ask. I'm open to talking about anything as you ask about the recruiting process. How do you go about recruiting someone from here or somewhere else? All the things that you might be interested in knowing that you didn't have a chance to ask before. So let's get this thing on the road. Our expectations would be, again, I think the biggest thing, if there's a word or a buzz, you know, we always have a phrase or a catchphrase we like, and I'm not sure what that's going to be, but we have to create inner competition. There's got to be a great sense that I want to be the best at my position, and that through that competition of one guy saying, you know what, I don't want three guys, I don't want to rotate three receivers at one position. I want to be on there every snap. I want to create that competition. So with that in mind, I think the one way we have got to do out there every day is have a lot of people, like we just said, competing with each other to determine. So we've told our team men to get to the next level, we need to start competing every day. Every position's wide open. Let's compete. The best guy wins. Let's go out there and make every position better. George, I think what I'm saying is it's wide. We're expecting guys to step up and play right away. You know, step and play right away. If we're going to get to the next level, somebody has got to step up and play a little higher level, or the guy that's playing right now has to improve his game. And so that's good. So I would say a lot of these people, a lot of these guys are transferring in, would be expected to contribute next year. If a young man's a freshman just out of high school, he's 18 years old, never been to college classes, never had the routine of getting up without a parent's telling him to, sometimes a red shirt is the best thing. You practice, but you don't play. You don't worry about having to win the game for the team that first year. They're more likely to red shirt, a high school freshman at 18. But when a young man has played 2 years somewhere and he transfers here and he's in his third year of college and he's only got about 2 years left, there's a sense of urgency. And when he comes here, I think we expect some things to happen quicker. So I think some of these guys that were transfers that came in last year, we expect them to challenge Jamal Marcus. We expect him to challenge at that defensive end position. Daryl Monroe, who I mentioned from Washington State, surely he didn't come here to sit the bench. He came here to come here and compete for that position. And there are others that we might mention at those positions. If you look at Darnell Alexander, that running back that wants to challenge all of our backup running backs. He wants to, because Juwan Chisholm, who we talked about for 3 years, is not here. So will he beat off those guys that have been fighting for a position? So you can think teams like that, Trevon Chapman, who transferred in here as a quarterback, who has some running and passing skills. You would like to think that he wants to go out there and challenge for that position. So I don't know that I've got one particular player in mind, but I would think if you saw some of these players and they're older, and they know what they want to do. Their college course is kind of set. They know what they're doing career-wise, college-wise, and they want to make sure that they can put a bow around that college experience that they had and make it something special. So some of those that I just mentioned would be just newcomers that came here at a later part of their career and would want to make something happen quickly. Now, once I say that, there'll be a freshman that we don't even mention right now that comes in, and he'll come in and he'll be a star. He'll just be ready to go, and he'll be a surprise for all of us. And I think something you always have to know that's an opportunity too. Was there another part to that question that I didn't answer? Yeah.
Okay, Coach, we're over here.
All right.
Scott Hansen, ATV Sports Report.
Yes.
I have a question. How do you plan on using Ray Smith and Jaquavis Dixon as athletes? Do you know how you plan on using them?
Yeah, I think Jaquavis Dixon is as a pure receiver. I think he's going to be a receiver. Ray Smith as a sophomore at Apopka. Now, Apopka's probably won 5, 6 state championships in Florida at one of the highest levels. He started at wide receiver as a sophomore. Did not play as a junior, came back, and the coach put him at cornerback, which is one of the most difficult positions to play. He was one of their best players at cornerback. That's a school where you'll find 2 or 3 guys going to the SEC every year. So I would think as we look at him, I don't know if I can answer that question. I really think because we have some cornerback, I think it's going to be as a wide receiver, a skilled player like that, maybe a wide receiver or a wildcat quarterback. We're looking at some possibilities, but I think wide receiver, when you lose Zach Durazio, LT Smith, and you got some guys coming in, they're very talented, but I think if I was a young freshman and I had great talent, that's probably where you'd say that what's the earliest chance he can help this football team.
George has a follow-up.
Yes.
Your philosophy has always been, after other colleges rating the state, to go to that next level player that fits your program.
Right.
I don't see a lot of Ohio names here. That just reflects what the talent left in Ohio this year, or something else.
You know, I think right now we see certain areas as our base recruiting area, and every year it's a little different where the numbers come out. We believe that Northeast Ohio, and we would add Pittsburgh to Northeast Ohio because it's so close, as being our base area. That's not obviously not Ohio, but it's closer than Columbus. I guess it's our proximity of great football, high school football, Northeast Ohio, over to the Pittsburgh area. We're going to try to recruit that as hard as we can and make sure we don't lose anybody that's good enough to play in this league. As far as after that, we have made an effort. We have made a decision that if we're going to go out there and do some things that will change our status, who will take us to another level of football, that we don't have to make something up or do something different than a lot of schools up here in the Northeast. They go down to North Florida, South Florida, and with their great speed and their great football down there is go down there. Now, does that mean we don't go to Cincinnati, we don't go to South Ohio and other parts? No, we do. It just means that sometimes our connections down there and the place that we can get players is down there. So I'm not so sure that this year will be indicative of every year, but I think right now the place that we have been able to add to our football team talent-wise is Northeast Ohio, and then add South Florida. I've got a lot of coaches that have spent a lot of time in their careers recruiting South Florida, and again, if you understand the dynamics of college recruiting and college football, South Florida probably one of the most dynamic recruiting areas in the country. And because, like I said before, most of the time that I've coached in my life, the state of Florida, which has about 18 million people, and there never was a Florida Atlantic or Florida International. You've got a large part of that state that their parents, their fathers, their uncles, they went north to play foot. So there's a very, very, very common way to do things. So Ohio will always be our primary place, but I would think instead of just saying the entire state of Ohio is going to take precedent, Northeast Ohio and South Florida would be more realistically something that we feel like we can get the level of player. It doesn't mean we're not going to get players out of Cincinnati, which we've done a good job, Columbus, which is one of the top recruiting areas, and all those. But again, I think we will have a better chance to improve the quality doing just what we're doing.